Right, we are live. Hi everyone, welcome to Grade Up. I'm Nivedita Raje, your legal reason expert, and here we have today with us Mr. Tariq Khan. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Nivedita?
I'm great, and we are honored to have you here on our platform, and our students are really thrilled and excited. They're just pumped with, I don't know what, adrenaline maybe. And they're just
There's already a flood of live chats, flood of students in the live chats. And guys,
Yes.
the debate is finally over. We have with us Advocate Tariq Khan sir. I would just say that he's a gentleman with a generous heart and a genius mind. So welcome, sir. Welcome to our channel.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nivedita and Grade Up channel. It's been a pleasure.
Right, sir. Okay, so like every interview starts, let's start with your introduction. Tell us everything about yourself, like whatever our students should know, your journey, your experiences, how did it all begin?
Okay, so generally, I've seen that I've been introduced, but today I'll introduce myself for all of you. Basically, I am originally from UP. I hail from a small town called Shahjahanpur. My schooling was there in a very average school. And I never knew that I'll be a lawyer. Did not have any such ambitions. I ended up taking up science as a subject. My parents wanted me to be an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had physics, chemistry, maths, and computer science as the subjects. And the minutiae of mathematics never interested me at all.
Of course.
So, and especially in 11th and 12th, when we had those differential equations and all of that. So I was really not into maths. But I gave engineering exams, and for some reason, I performed really bad. I failed miserably.
For some reason, I mean, come on, you knew the reason.
Yeah, that's there. So I couldn't. I think AIEEE was the exam that I had given, and I got a very poor rank, something in thousands, probably not even thousands, probably 100,000. I don't know what was the rank. I don't recall.
Hundreds, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
but then, college.
Yeah. So then I spoke to my father, and he insisted. He said that now you should do law. So I said I'll do anything but law. I'm not into law, and I am not interested. The reason was threefold, which I've said a lot of times, but I'll repeat again. One was that English was a language I was not comfortable with. I did not have command over the English language, and I was very uncomfortable in this language. The second reason was that I had stage fright, serious stage fright.
Right.
So whenever I would face the audience or public, my lips would go dry, my legs would tremble, my hands would shake. So that was another reason why no law. And the third reason was that I was never into reading. Reading even a page was a task for me. So I was not somebody who was interested in reading newspapers, magazines, etc. So, these were the three reasons why I did not want to do law. But since I had no other option, so I think law chose me, and I didn't choose law. And that time it was amidst financial issues. I could not think about private law colleges. So Jamia was the best option, where fees was, I think, 5,000 per year, which was decent.
Exactly.
So that's why I did my law from Jamia. And then I graduated. You want to know after that what happened, or like this is it?
Of course, please. It's getting so much interesting.
Okay, so after the period of 5 years, because there was no placement as such from the university, you know how difficult it is for us law students if you don't have some kind of backing, if you are a first generation lawyer, and if you're not from a prominent law school. The harsh reality is that no matter what you have in your CV, it is still very difficult to reach for an interview. And many things we are not taught in our law schools, which are very essential, including how to apply for a job, how to sit in an interview. I think these are the things which none of us know. We don't even know how to make a covering letter, what to write, what to include, what not to include. Our emails are full of mistakes, especially grammatical mistakes, which is one of the reasons why a lot of recruiters and employers, because I've been on both the sides, so now I can understand where I was going wrong. At that time, I just had one thing in my mind that, look, they're all biased. They don't want to give us a chance. We are not from top law college. There's discrimination, this and that. So discrimination may or may not have been there, but at the end of the day, I think we were lacking guidance, and guidance was what we needed, and we did not get it. We did not have a strong alumni base. people who could guide us. So things were going like that. And I never was interested in arbitration, but it so happened that I went for an interview right after my college because I needed a job at any cost. Right. I could just, because there was always this thing about me being self-made and I always wanted to do things on my own. So because of financial constraints, it was important to survive in Delhi, or I could have probably gone back home. To survive in Delhi, you needed a job. And I remember that I went for Advani & Company was the place where I went for an interview. The last exam was, I think, on 1st June 2014 or somewhere. Around 12:30, the exam got over and I immediately rushed. Generally, students like celebrate and they, meet ups, hang out together, go for movies after the last exam. It was the last year, final year exam. But I didn't do any of that. I just wanted a job desperately on that very day. So I went, that was my first day. And I did not know much about arbitration. So I was super honest in the interview. And I said that I can give my best and I'm a raw material, I know. But I'll give my 200%. You'll never hear a no from me. And I will do what it takes. Just give me one opportunity. So the idea nowadays, young students say, oh, what salary I should take? I want this much, that much. So all of that was out of question. I never even thought that I will be in a position to discuss all this with my employer because I so badly needed a job for myself, frankly. Okay. So fortunately, I got it. And arbitration was a field in which Advani primarily practices. So since that day, I've been doing arbitration day and night. And here I am.
Sir, I have to tell you that it is as if I'm, reading a novel. It was beautiful. Thank you so much. So guys, actually, these are the problems that many of my students face. The fluency over English, the command. I mean, litigation requires a certain skill over communication. And that is what they're actually scared about. That what if we ever decide to practice, we cannot speak. So guys, can you believe that, we have Tariq sir with us who once could not speak proper English, as he, admits himself, and he had stage fright, and he is with us right here, and he is one of the top lawyers in our country. So happy. Okay, thank you so much, sir. So they can't really believe that you couldn't speak English. It's very hard for them to believe it. So, sir, sahi bata rahe tum logo ko. Yes, he is a first generation lawyer. Yes. Okay, so the question already answered itself. You did not want to do law. Law actually wanted you to do it. That's bad way of putting it. But yes, law chose you. Okay, so how was the experience at Jamia? I understand that universities like Jamia, traditional central universities, Jamia, DU, they don't really offer placements. You had to go through a lot. But how was the overall experience? Like, would you still advise students to experience all that?
Well, I don't think any law student would like his or her university. But to be honest, I think I had a good time. Initially, when I went to Jamia, I was not pretty sure how I'm going to spend my 5 years here. I was pretty nervous. And as I told you, I was not fond of reading. And when I saw the first lecture was of the Contract Act, the teacher took a thick book with him. It was a very thick book.
Which authority? Avtar Singh?
This was some other book of contract. No, he was reading R.K. Bangia, surprisingly.
Oh, Bangia is thin.
I mean, for me, it was thick. As a 12, I said. For me, even one page was a mess. And when I saw that book, I thought this book probably, and Law of Torts, there was another book that was also by Bangia, which the teacher was teaching for some reason. I don't know what was our obsession with R.K. Bangia. But these two books I found very thick because compared to the NCRT 12th class books, I found it.
Of course, they're massive.
So I thought that these two subjects, contract and torts, are going to go on for the next 5 years. And this was my mindset. I did not know it was only for one semester.
Right.
Apart from that, we did not have mooting culture in the college. We did not have a lot of, generally in colleges, like you see, some colleges have very strong alumni base. It is very helpful. And, students can reach out to you. On the other hand, we did not have any link to our alumni. And I'm not sure at that relevant time if any of our seniors was doing litigation or not. I really do not know. And I can't say. I don't know where they were. There was a disconnect. But it just... I realized that, a lot of other law colleges, when I used to go for competitions and all, they used to tell me, oh, you're from Jamia. So a lot of them did not even know what Jamia was or whether it had law or not.
Really?
So it may sound stupid, but that's how it was. Because in my final year, when I organized as the debating society president of the university, I organized a debate, a parliamentary debate for the first time in history of Jamia. When I used to get call from Delhi University colleges, some of them, the North Campus colleges, you will not believe me, but they used to say, "Oh, where is this Jamia University? Where is this?" So I used to say, "We are a central university, and we're right in the South Delhi. We are in Delhi." So a lot of people did not know. I mean, it sounds very funny, but that's how it was.
Is. I mean, you should have asked them. Do you go out much? I mean, have you gone out? I mean, seriously.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a popular one, but I mean, this is how the scene was. But anyway, so what I realized was that rather than, there are two options. Either I can criticize my college and say, oh, they are not providing this facility, or I can probably work towards it and probably, Jamia, I think, gave me a larger canvas to draw on.
Right.
We were the ones. So in a college where everybody is doing something or the other and things are very organized, you don't get the, opportunity to probably think out of the box and do different things and do things differently.
Right.
I think Jamia gave us that opportunity. We were free bird. We were free to do whatever we wanted.
Exactly.
So we started experimenting. We started organizing events. Everything we were doing on our own. There was nobody questioning because there was hardly any meeting culture, debating culture. Right. So some of us, we took up initiatives. We used to go to different colleges, learn good things from them and probably use the same in our college, So it's always a great experience. So I think Jamia was a very, very interesting journey. It was not just 5 years of college. It was a journey. Yeah, it taught us a lot. And especially, everything was a task. Getting an internship was a big challenge. Getting the job, I'm not even going there. But getting an internship was a task. And then everything, like moot courts, then getting books, material for reading, studying. Libraries were not that equipped at that time. I mean, everything was decent. I'm not saying that. But, as compared to law universities, which are charging lakhs of rupees, I don't know why, because I would
actually, that makes me wonder why. I mean, there's no laboratories required, no infrastructure. Why are you charging so much? But anyway.
Yeah. So that was the thing. And so we were behind in a couple of things. But I think we had good teachers and we had good colleagues. I had good friends. And the good thing is that like every other college, there was some, a little bit of politics also happening within students.
Student council. Were you a part of the student council?
No, never. There was never any. The good thing is Jamia University doesn't have any council. There are no elections happening in Jamia for the past, I don't know how many years, which is surprising. But for some reason, it isn't there. And I was only into like moot courts, debates. I thought that, being a part of the college politics was stupidity. Like, I mean, to my mind, because I thought at least in my college, what mattered most was because in law colleges, mooters are like gods. So if you are a good mooter, you don't have to be the general secretary of the faculty or whatever. Because I think personally, if you really want to be something, you either be a moot court convener or the best mooter of the college or the debating society president or placement in charge. So these are the positions. I don't frankly think that, joint secretary or general secretary of university in law schools will get that much of attention in comparison to moot court conveners, etc. And that's the way I think. So I really did not feel the need to be into politics, to be honest.
I actually agree with you. I mean, even our national universities, they don't have councils. Only, politically active universities like Lucknow, Allahabad, and DU, they need to have councils because
then you can have some future in that. That's actually a very, very good thing. Otherwise, if you think there's no future after that, I think it's just wasting time.
Exactly. Okay, so hi, welcome Tariq. I hope your connection.
Yes, sir. Sorry, there was a network glitch, so got disconnected. So, sir, I would all of us students would like to know your first year in college and your first year in profession. What were the struggles that you faced in both these initial years of your college and profession?
So struggles have always been there. They're still there even today. The nature of struggles keep changing. What are my struggles today are very different from the struggles of the initial days in college and the initial days in the profession. But struggles will always be there. Of course, things have changed. Things have become slightly comfortable, but the nature and challenges have increased also. When we were in college, you're talking about first year of college. Like I said, I was somebody who was least interested in the profession or the law. I was just into random things like every other student and just making friends, going here and there, and probably spending too much time with your close friends. So these are the things I used to do more often, and I hardly thought about anything else. And I think in the first year, I did not get good grades also. I got somewhere around 6.66 out of 9, which was not a very good score.
It's very bad.
Yeah, it's very bad. I agree. But things happened. There are incidents in our life which happen, and due to which we start feeling that probably, we need to stand up for ourselves. And earlier, initially we are all like immature and we think that life is it's just a bed of roses and things are very rosy. But I realized that things were not going to happen the way when I understood. So this was probably in my second year. And that's when I started mooting. I started thinking about internships. And I realized that, it's important. Career is what will determine your position in your future. And at the end of the day, the friends that you're talking about, they're not going to be there with you if you don't do anything interesting in life. So you need to become something in order to have those people by your side. Otherwise, at the end of the day, when 5 years will get over, I don't think if you will see any of your friends whom you're spending 24 hours right now with, or probably talking to them all day and night, they will not be there. So at the end of the day, what you have in your CV is what matters, what you have achieved. And fortunately for me, somebody, some incidents and some people made me realize that, it's important that you have your own position in your life. And that is the only way you will earn respect. No matter what you do for others, that's not important. What you do for yourself, what you do in your career is what matters. And I realized that pretty early in life. And that's when I started all this, moot courts, going to internships, becoming serious in studies. And then I became a scholarship holder. In third year, I remember I got the scholarship. So then I always got good grades because I started reading for passion. And yes, I'll not lie. I'll be honest with you. I never used to study the whole year. I would just study like 4 or 5 days before the exam. But my concepts were clear. And it's not the case that I was wasting my year. I was, in fact, in the first year, I wasted my time, to be honest. I just got to know each other. Initially, when you go to the college, you're a big gang, all of you. And then a gang keeps breaking in to, fractions. So that's what happened. And I did an intra moot court, which was a very crazy incident of my life. But fortunately, we won it. And that's when I realized I can speak. I was, again, like I had my fears, but I fought my fears and I overcame. So first year was just like that. It was like just getting to know the law and being acquainted with it. But the challenges in the first year of the professions were far, far beyond imagination. In a first year of your career, you are expected. So like freshers are the ones who do the most of the work in any firm or any office. I had a lot of seniors and I was the only junior for all of them. And I was doing work day and night. So literally I used to work like 14 to 16 hours a day. Even when I would go back home, I recall that I would get some work, some research work, and, going for matters. Some senior would call me randomly and say, oh, tomorrow morning you're going to Dwarka Court. Then you're going to Tisazari. So places where generally this is what happens, where others don't want to go, they send you because you cannot say no. You're not in a position to say no. And these were not the struggles, frankly. These were like things that I was very interested in and very passionate about, because I always thought I will never miss an opportunity to appear in a court of law, no matter how small or how big the court is, whether it's a tribunal or a forum or a district court, because everything, it all adds up to your confidence level, and you become what you become by these small little things only. Every experience counts. But the other issue was traveling or waiting for a bus. And after 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, there were no buses. And, trying to understand how you will go back home, or probably try to look for a lift from somebody, So all those were bigger challenges because, you wanted to save a lot of your money. And then 90% of your salary was going in your rent. And you couldn't rent a very fancy apartment and you were staying in some outskirts. So everything was like really crazy. So financial issues are the ones I think which are there initially in the first year. They were quite crazy. Yeah.
But
so
it is a beautiful, thank you so much for.
We can conclude this you prefer a struggled life in comparison to a settled one. And I have a question, and a lot of students like me have this question. That this struggle is a part and parcel of this game, as you said. And a lot of young practitioners, especially I'm talking about first generation lawyers, they give up practice so easily because of the income insecurities and the lack of recognition that they face in the initial years of their career. So what's your advice to them?
See, frankly, the good thing is that I did not have any money. I mean, I'm sure everybody else will be in a better position than I was in my first year. And it's easy to say, oh no, you are comfortable life. We had everybody feels that his or her challenges were like the craziest, but mine were pretty bad. My situation was pretty bad. So when I'm saying this, you believe me, my salary was something which was just taking care of my rent, literally. And when I had to meet my expenses, that's when I started doing things desperately. I started teaching, I started writing, I started doing every small little thing, anything that came my way for extra income. And I think that played a very major role in my personality development, in my development as a professional. I was just not an associate working in a firm. There are people who are working in firms, but you need to create some kind of your own identity. Your character has to be built. And those challenges and the struggles and the failure that you meet, it is the hardships in your life that will make you and bring out your true character. Unless you meet those hardships, you will never ever be able to understand who you are, what you are capable of doing. Exactly. If you want to see that side of you, you need to see some hurdles, some challenges, and then you overcome them. If you compare your life with people who do not have challenges right now, or just having comfort all around, there are no challenges. And a life which is not challenging is not worth living. I mean, for me, at least, there are supposed to be challenges. And then when you overcome them, you actually understand, and it actually makes you more mature and grow you as a person and a professional. So the important part is that early in life, these challenges should come. You shouldn't wait for them to come after 5 years or 7 years. So people who feel that comfort right now, if they are enjoying, or probably somebody's, somebody has godfathers in the industry, etc., etc. And if they don't have to struggle, everybody has to struggle, because this is at least for the lawyers, I can speak out. This is a profession where you get thrown out in fraction of seconds if you don't prove your mettle. So you have to be up to the mark. You have to perform. 1 or 2 opportunities you can definitely get by reference, or because somebody is a lawyer, or you have 4 godfathers, etc. But at the end of the day, it's your knowledge and your experience that will make you stand out of the league and will take you where you want to go. So yeah, I think this is a very important.
It is beautiful. I mean, the way you put it, and I think that is what has shaped you. And we are speaking with you. We are, going through whatever you went through. It not going through like literally, just metaphorically. So guys, take it from sir. Hardships is a part of life, and they only make you grow. तो कभी ना कभी तो आएगी, लेकिन लाइफ में स्ट्रगल हर किसी की आएगी. हर किसी की लाइफ में एक सर्टेन पीरियड पे स्ट्रगल करना लिखा ही है. तो या तो आप उसे शुरुआत में कर ले और बाकी की लाइफ को इजी और कंफर्टेबल कर ले, या फिर आप वेट करते रहें कि वो बाद में आए, जो कि और मुश्किल हो जाता है. Anyhow, so you just told us that English was a bit of a problem for you when you were actually in your 12th, intermediate, etc. So how did you work on this weakness? Were there mentors?
See, again, I could not afford any paid tuitions, etc. And I did not have mentors because I didn't know anyone in the profession at all.
No, like somebody to guide you, just like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you who people who guided me, they did not know they guided me, because I made them my mentors by YouTube. But before that, I want to make it clear that I have a strong objection as to how people judge people on the way they speak. People who don't speak English, they are considered illiterate. They are considered, that, you're not classy, you're just
up to the mark.
Yeah, so it's just, I think language is just a mode of communication. It is just a mode of communication. As long as 2 of us are able to communicate in a language, be it Hindi, English. So, people who speak Hindi, they are, judged by us for speaking Hindi and for not knowing English. So that's like really, really unfortunate, very unfortunate, I would say. People should be judged on their merit, on their knowledge, and not on the language that they speak. But this is how it is. It's become a very important thing for people who are not able to speak in English are considered uneducated. I don't know for what reason, but I worked on my English because I realized that it is important in this society and in this profession. Because courts, of course, when you're speaking in the court of law, language is, of course, English in High Court, Supreme Court. So I realized that without that, it's not going to work. All my dreams will be shattered. I'll just be a nobody. And I never wanted to be a face in the crowd. So I realized that I'll have to learn English. And how I started doing it, I started reading judgments by Justice Krishna Iyer. Never met him. He doesn't know who I am. And late centenarian, who's one of the greatest jurists. And I wanted to learn from the best always. I thought that if I'm learning from the best, I can at least reach here if I copy him. And that would be better than all the others around me. So I started reading his judgments, not just reading, like recollecting them by heart. I would use them in my moot courts. If you see my moot court pleadings even today, the one that I've been to, like for instance, Oxford Price Media I did, or many others, I would only read judgments and start with a very beautiful quote from Justice Krishna Iyer, who would just coin words in his judgments. And I still remember, to the extent that I still remember those judgments, and I can still quote it for you if you want. That's how I used to.
Please do.
The quote, okay.
Tell us a favorite quote.
Okay, so I have two favorites. One is by Justice Krishna Iyer, and one is by Justice James Madison from the United States Supreme Court, one of the greatest Chief Justice. So which one you would want to know? I know many others, but I can just...
Oh, no. I would want to know both. Yes.
Okay. Justice Krishna Iyer in the case of Som Prakash Rekhi versus Union of India, he was dealing with what is state and what is not state, Article 12.
Well, yeah.
And that's when he very beautifully coined few words, and he said that, and I quote him, he said, "The conclusion is impeccable, that where the chemistry of a corporate entity answers the test above outlined, it becomes an instrumentality of the state or the government." Then he said, "The court cannot connive at a process which eventually will make fundamental rights as rare as roses in December and ice in June." So he compared it with roses in December and ice in June.
Oh my God.
Yes.
There are many others. There are very many others, good judgments. In fact, when he passed away, I had written an article in his memory, which contains all the relevant excerpts from all his judgments, which is a beautiful piece of literature. But the other personal favorite is by Justice James Madison in the case of Nia versus Minnesota, wherein he said he was dealing with the freedom of speech and expression. So I think that's the judgment which actually defines it beautifully, if it's a good right or not. So he said, and I quote his golden words, "Some degree of abuse is inseparable from proper use of everything, and in no instance is this truer than in that of the press. It has accordingly been decided by the practice of the states that it's better to leave a few of its noxious branches to their luxuriant growth than by pruning them away to injure the vigor of those yielding the proper fruits." So I know it's hard to
Bravo! It was awesome. Wow. The way these people used to think, it's impeccable. It's impeccable.
So that's the kind of learning that we all need in our lives. Merely reading sections, I think, is not enough. So these judgments would grow my character, until I started naturally speaking the law. I kept reading. And the more you read, the more you're able to talk. So anybody who doesn't read will have zero content, no matter how good he is in English. You need content at the end of the day to come out. So unless you have that content in you, and for content, you need to first read a lot. Just read. And how to deliver is the second challenge, because your speaking will depend on it. For that, I had another role model, Mr. Ram Jethmalani, whom I always admired, and who was my role model since day one.
Yes, I interned with him.
Yeah, you were lucky probably. So that happened, and I used to see his interviews on YouTube. I used to see Mr. Ram Jethmalani, Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, Mr. Arun Jaitley, Mr. Gopal Subramaniam. All these were my favorite orators. I would just see all their interviews. I think I've learned their interviews also. So, that is the kind of dedication which is required. When passion is present, you can't break free. So make it your passion and just get stuck to this. Exactly. And then I actually started, in a way, I would just, when I would speak in moot courts, I would try to copy Mr. Ram Jethmalani. So then I started learning and, started growing. So take them as your role models. You don't need somebody to sit on your head. So, like in case of Eklavya, he had Guru Dronacharya, probably he made his,
idol, yes.
Idol, yeah, and he did not have him in person. So
exactly.
you just need to look up to someone and just follow. You don't need to speak to him day and night or probably have coffee with him. So I think that was my approach to learning English. Yeah.
You don't need a shrink. You just need a role model, and that can be anybody.
Absolutely.
So guys, I hope you've understood what Sir just said. There were two fears in his life, language and reading, and he overcame both of them beautifully. So law is not just constrained to sections and the laws and the articles. It is, it is dynamic. It expands philosophy. It is beautiful. And you just have to find out the beauty in it. And you learn everything. You learn to speak
You have
law.
to
You learn to speak everything.
get into the romance of law.
Exactly. Get into the romance of law. Yes, exactly. So it was beautifully put. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sarthak.
Sir, because most of the students who are viewing you right now, they are law aspirants basically. So we all know that you are a successful lawyer by profession, but deep inside we also know that you are a wonderful teacher, and teaching is your passion. Teaching has been your passion, as you have been a faculty in a lot of colleges, Lloyd Law College, ILI, and all. So what would be your preparation tips to students who are viewing you right now?
Okay, so it completely depends which college you are preparing for, but the competition has increased quite a lot, and law is very lucrative. It's not like the days when we were preparing. At that time, competition was hardly there, to be honest. Right. And a lot of people that I know who probably could not have qualified or probably could not even read much, qualified law, and they were able to they got selected in the entrance exam, including myself. I don't think I prepared that hard, frankly. But the thing is that you just need to read all the important judgments, the constitutional law judgments, and the important ones, which everybody should know, which you have been taught in history and civics. You may have been taught in social sciences, probably. The passport case, Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India, Indira Gandhi versus Rajnarayan, ADM Jabalpur. Yeah, so those common ones you should know. And preamble little bit when these words were added, when this amendment happened. So most important is constitution in my view. And then solve these questions as much as you can. Those books that you get where they ask you questions, try to solve as many as you can, because I think that, recollection is very important. So first you read, then you solve these papers, last 10 years or whatever is there, whatever material you have. And once you get the hang of it, the more you practice, the better you get. And I think there are very few colleges which are doing these logical reasoning and all. So nowadays, I think it's important to take some proper coaching somewhere, because things are not the same unless you are aiming for a college which is like very average. And but one thing I would advise you, I mean, if you are into litigation, I would suggest that you consider working or probably having your college in Delhi, because or Delhi or NCR, because Supreme Court is there, High Court is there, and for litigation, I think there are a lot of, I don't know, for people who aspire to be somewhere else. One of the reasons why I did not want to leave Delhi was because of the exposure that I could have gotten in this place. So I personally feel that Delhi can do wonders for you if you want to do litigation. There are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of work, and the quality of law is very high. Yes.
The Supreme Court is there, all top advocates, all top
tribunals,
firms. Exactly.
Bankruptcy, whatever you want to pursue. So many tribunals, so many district courts. So there's too much for all of us in the plate.
Yeah, the capital of the country does give you that much exposure, so that we need to give it to that, definitely. So Aditya has a very interesting question. How is the litigation and arbitration team in tier 1 firms different from pure chamber practice?
Okay, so in a chamber practice system, frankly, if things are like, if you talk about a chamber of a normal advocate, so you will not see things to be that organized, layers of approvals are required. Wherein in law firms, you will see that for every person has a specific task. Things are too organized. So I don't know which setup suits you, or what kind of setup you prefer. But it is important to know that law firms, you will have a particular responsibility. Like in big firms, you see there's a huge team. There's a team of 10 people, perhaps, to work on one matter. They have a associate, they have a principal associate, they have a senior associate, then partner. So draft is being checked at different levels. Whereas in a chamber practice, things are very comparatively less organized, and it's action every day, because you have to appear probably 10 matters a day, 5 matters a day. So more exposure in a chamber, of course, to the court. If you have litigation, then I think chamber setup would be better for you, because in firms, it's more about briefings.
Right.
And but I personally feel that there are some tier 2 firms, which are boutique firms, small team, where you can be treated as an asset and a lot of responsibility can be given to you, even when you are in your first year. And that firm might be doing court matters also on a daily basis, as well as doing arbitration. Or maybe a young lawyer, a lawyer who doesn't have a big team, someone who's 5-7 years into the practice or 10 years into the practice, and you can be the only junior. Right. And that person is taking up all kinds of matters, insolvency matters, arbitration matters, court matters, criminal, civil. That is an excellent exposure.
Of course it is. So you get exposure in chamber because of the, the intensity of the staff is not there. In firms, like there are too many people, everybody has their own jobs. Exactly. So I hope sir has answered your query. Yes. Okay, Sarthak.
Coming to your prime specification, that is arbitration. So renowned jurist Falias Nariman sir once said that the future of arbitration is bright because future of litigation is not. So, but ironically, it's a fact that in most of the law colleges in India, even Arbitration and Conciliation Act is not a part of a syllabus. So, sir, what's your view on the future of arbitration in India?
It's a very interesting point, and I think I've quoted this everywhere in every lecture. And I was there when he said that in the Delhi International Arbitration Center conference. Mr. Farid Nariman started by saying so. And I completely agree with him. But one thing we need to understand is that arbitration is a very important subject. And I have written in a lot of my interviews that syllabus needs to be revised because it is old and it is not up to the mark. Like, nowadays we have sports arbitration, maritime arbitration, insolvency, bankruptcy, competition, arbitration, BITs. I don't think all of this is being taught anywhere as a subject. So that's a major concern because, students are being taught subjects which may be irrelevant for them, but these are the most relevant subject because arbitration is a future, like you rightly said. And I think I read somewhere 3-4 days before, 3-4 days ago that BCI is considering, revising the syllabus or something on those lines. But I don't know when it will be done. I think the syllabus is poorly done because you are being taught. I'll give you an example. We are being taught IPC in second year and tax law in third year. And in fourth year, you are being taught interpretation of penal statute and tax statutes. So you are being taught the interpretation later and you are being, they make you read the subjects first. So ideally, you should first teach how to interpret and then you teach us the subject. So, I mean, things are a little disorganized. I mean, I think...
they're actually pretty haphazard. I mean, we were first taught CPC and then we were then taught the rules of pleading. So it was, I mean...
even the insolvency and bankruptcy code is nowhere in our syllabus.
Or arbitration, you're right. Even in Delhi University, they do not teach major subjects. Like they don't even concentrate on CPC for that matter. So yes, the syllabus is actually pretty outdated.
The other issue is, major issue, which I have always flagged, is that you and we are being taught by teachers who have never perhaps stepped in the court of law.
Right.
So how do you expect they do their best? I'm not criticizing any teacher. I'm sure they do their homework well. But the exposure that you get in the court of law, the students need that kind of exposure. They need that kind of practical experience when you are teaching. And that's why whenever I'm taking lectures, speaking for myself, I just close the book and I just talk about practical cases. I give them illustrations, which I am dealing on a daily basis. And I tell them, these are the facts of the case. Now apply the law. Tell me what you would have done. Give me arguments. These are the contract clauses. So I think this kind of pragmatic approach, this unconventional method of teaching is very important. So we need to bring, rather than the rote method of teaching, we need to focus on these detailing, reasoning, which I don't think anybody is focusing on.
Right. So you're saying that instead of focusing on the academic part, why don't we move over to the illustrative part? Because law is, after all, illustrative. You cannot just read the theory and understand it.
I think it should be a mixture because reading the book or the statute will make them a good lawyer, but not a good advocate. Advocacy is a skill.
Right.
Right.
You can only learn that skill by experiencing it. It cannot be taught to you in the books and, reading torts law or probably contract. I think it's a skill which you acquire over a period of time. Right. So it's important that there should be a mixture of both. I think guest faculty concept is amazing, but I don't know why, you are only supposed to be taught by people who have done PhD, this, X, Y, Z. Why can't you just be taught by people, some lectures, guest lectures by people who are 5 years in the profession or 10 years in the profession. They'll be able to teach you pleadings properly. You know, how legal notices are sent, not those formats which are there in some books.
Who teaches them? I mean, the first time I learned the rules of pleading, like we were taught rules of pleading, and the practical experience was in the internship. And there too, I had to learn it all by myself. They were not ready to teach it to me. So I don't know what.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to promote this culture wherein practical focus should also be on the practical aspects of law rather than just focusing on the bookish knowledge. And that's the way I feel.
That's actually the best way one can study law and one can teach law. Beautiful.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Right,
Sir, one more thing. Firstly, in light of this pandemic era, class 10th and 12th students are very happy because examinations have been cancelled and they are going to be promoted. But it's often said it's a dialogue that marks are just a number and it doesn't matter. But what's your take on it? Does the marks actually matter? And the decision of the authorities that they would be promoted without any examination, would it hinder their future prospects, or is it a negative step?
See, currently, I think it's all about surviving. Whoever survives, I think, is the smartest of all.
Right.
And
so Marvin's theory?
Yeah, I mean, because survival of is the most important thing, more important than anything else. And we need to understand that this pandemic has changed many things for us. We should reduce our professionalism and we should not become super duper career oriented that no, if I don't have a job, I'm going to die. Nothing is changing. Like, just be a little patient, keep trying, look for virtual opportunities. This is not the time to go out and look for a job hunting. And if you're not getting a job, you need to relax. You don't have to worry. But coming to the second part of it, marks, I think, are important if you want to. Of course, it gives a good impression about the student that he has done well in his academics. But depends on the college. If you are not from, I mean, how things are. You know, if you are from a tier 3 college probably, and you are being the topper, maybe you'll not be considered. Maybe your applications will not be opened. Especially for masters, it matters quite a lot that you are the topper of your batch. Right. If you have aspirations to go for masters from Oxford, Cambridge, they would look for that, you know, you are at least in the top 5 or top 3% of your class. So marks will matter for your LLM application. Otherwise, for litigation, I really don't think it matters at all.
Right. So in light of this thing, how significant is masters really? I mean,
see, if you are considering litigation, I really don't think, like, I have not done masters, and I don't think that skill is required for litigation. But yes, if somebody has a master's in a specific field, that may help you in academics. Of course, it's very useful. You know, if you have done your masters from abroad, you can probably be you can get good jobs for teaching, etc. You know, because in masters you learn the details of the subjects, you know, reasoning, etc., jurisprudence. You learn too much.
You learn too much, exactly.
So, you know, how of things and why of things, which perhaps may not be required in the litigation field. Exactly. So I think, yeah, masters might be useful in some firms if you are getting an opportunity, but do it only if you're not spending money from your pocket. If you're getting a scholarship, please go for it. But if you have to take a loan and go, I will never recommend, never, ever.
Good. Right. So basically, masters is only relevant when you have to, you know, when you're deciding to adopt a future course of action which involves academics. Otherwise, masters is not that significant. हमारे साथ बहुत सारे गेस्ट लेक्चरर्स और एडवोकेट्स आए हैं जो हमेशा यही बताते हैं कि अगर आप एकेडमिक्स में जाना चाहते हैं तो ही मास्टर्स का एक सिग्निफिकेंस है. अदरवाइज इन लिटिगेशन बी एनी काइंड कॉर्पोरेट और कोर, masters has no role to play. Okay, sir, I want to know your Forbes story. Really, everybody here wants to know your Forbes story.
No, I mean, there was no story as such. I was shortlisted by them. There were many people probably who were nominated in the country, but I was shortlisted. Basically, they asked me to give a short interview and like why I should be considered. So I told them about my achievements, and I was fortunate enough to be considered in the Forbes legal power list. And
can't be limited to that. I mean, they obviously saw how awesome you are and decided to put you in the list.
No, frankly, I think I have done some significant work in the field of arbitration, especially in the past few years, by writing quite a lot of articles, which may have been useful for a lot of academicians, for students. And then a lot of webinars I did for students. I have done significant work in different institutions, and I have some experience. So I think, expressing your thoughts by way of channels of effective communication. LinkedIn has played an important role in my life, for instance. So I think networking, letting people know, I think that word spreads. Like, for instance, today, Grade Up is an excellent platform for me where I am expressing my views and people are getting to know you. And, so I and everybody else look for that kind of recognition. And once people start associating a subject with you, you are then considered as, some kind of expert. Not that I'm saying I'm an expert, but people start recognizing you as an expert. So that's the idea. Writing, I think, is very important because your work speaks for itself.
That's wonderful. Okay, sir, there are two very interesting questions. Sarah is one of our very good students, and she wants to know whenever, actually, I also want to know this question. Whenever somebody asks you, why should we consider you? What is an appropriate reply? Like, you have faced the challenges of, interviews, lacunas, cover letter, everything. What do you think?
So two questions where students get stuck. One is when they are asked, what are your weaknesses? Right. And the second question is, why should we hire you and not others? So see, frankly, as a fresher, what an organization looks for. So they just don't need somebody who's over smart and, very good credentials. They need somebody who has a good attitude also, who can work in an office environment, who's loyal, and who understands the need of this, situation and what the office requires, who will be comfortable in the office environment and who can, step into the shoes of everything. Like, for instance, if you ask me why you, so I need to convince the other person that, look, I'm a raw material, and be super honest. Do not try to, talk in circles, show attitude, talk much about money. Don't give an impression you're very money minded. I want this timing. I cannot stay in office after 8 o'clock. I stay there. If you start giving reason in the interview so whenever people are asking you everything, you have to, and honestly, to any organization, you have to give your blood, sweat, and tears. If the boss can sit in office till 11 or 10, you cannot say, I want to leave at 7.
But so can you, definitely.
I mean, that was my rule. I never left office before my boss. Never, ever. I was always the last one to leave because I enjoy my workplace. I've made it so comfortable now that I feel like home. And, when you have to, when it's passion, you feel that, you're just at home, you're not working. It should not feel like work. It should not feel like there are times when you will break down. There'll be a lot of pressure. You may have to pull all-nighters. That's all part of the job. But you should be ready for that challenge. You should be loyal to your work, dedicated, committed, and extremely hardworking. That you are ready to burn the midnight oil if required. You're ready to, have a sleepless night if required. You can flexible, you can travel, you can, if something urgent comes up, you can just burn the midnight oil and finish a draft. Your drafting has to be good. Your research has to be good. And more or less, you should not say that, oh, I want to be this. I am a very good assistant is what you should tell them. I am somebody who can assist you to the best of my ability. I can make quick notes. I can make recording letters. I can keep a track of hearings. I will keep posting you. I will make the files ready. I will ensure that the Bare Act is kept. These are the things that a junior should do, rather than just, I want to be Ram Jethmalani in the next 5 years or 10 years. So, the role of a junior is to assist. So you're a good assistant in the legal matters. You'll manage the matters well. You'll manage the files well. You'll make office more organized. So these are the things which one looks for. And so far as weaknesses are concerned, when someone asks you your weakness, I don't know what people say, but at least I used to say I have a very bad handwriting. I used to say that sometimes, and which is true, I have a bad handwriting. Another weakness would be sometimes due to work, I miss on my personal commitments, which is true. So I don't probably work-life balance, I'm not able to maintain properly because work somehow overpowers. You are talking about a weakness, which is not a weakness. Actually, it's a strength for the employer. Exactly. So what you say matters. Yeah, I think that's how it is.
So you basically play with words. You first need to identify your own strengths so that you can convince them that, they're not making a mistake by hiring you. And then you come up with weaknesses which actually would prove fruitful for the company or the firm. So very smart answer, a lawyer's dodge actually. I completely expected this of you. Okay, so you understand that the group of students that we have in our institution is 17 years, 18 years of students.
Yeah.
Right. So do you have your, pearls of wisdom for them?
Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't have any specific words, but I will just tell you a few things, because at your age, a lot of things are going wrong in a lot of in lives of many people. But I'll just say this, that see, all of you are going to just start your career, your life, your professional journey is going to begin. You are too young. But remember that I'll just give you 2-3 advices which will perhaps help you in life also. So there are people in our lives who act like anchors, anchor of a ship which stops the ship. So these people will be very close to you, will be next to you probably, and you will feel that they are the ones you probably cannot do without. But at the end of the day, their issues become your issues, their liability become your liability. You don't have any issues of your own.
Right.
So you need to get rid of these anchors from life. Get rid of them, cut them loose, because they will slow you down in your journey. So do not have any negative person in your life. And if there is anybody who gives you any negativity, no matter who it is, just get rid of them. The second advice that I'll give you is that regret is unprofessional. Do not live in the past. Do not regret things that have happened in the past. Focus on the future, the bright side of life. And, the idea is to die with memories, not dreams. So if you want to make memories, you need a lot of money for that. You need good, happy mind for that. And
Right.
I think you will meet a lot of people. This life where you are right now is just very short lived. Right after you go to your college, you'll have different set of friends. You don't know which city you will be in. You don't know who's going to be your best friend. And you will perhaps not even remember your school friends after a few years. And after you leave college, you'll have another set of friends who will be your professional buddies. So don't think about, losing this and that. Focus on your career right now. This is the time when you need to be serious. And lastly, I would just say what Justice John Roberts said when he went for the farewell of his son to Howard. He said that, my dear friends, I hope that from time to time in years to come, you are treated unfairly, so that you learn the value of justice. I hope that every time you fail, your opponent gloats over your failure, as that will teach you the value of sportsmanship. I hope that all your friends, and people you meet in life, they betray you, so that you understand the value of loyalty. So whether these things I wish or not, they are bound to happen. And whether you benefit from these experiences or not will depend upon your ability to see the message in your misfortune. So there's always a message in the misfortune. If I didn't do engineering, I ended up doing law. That misfortune led me here. So things that happened probably happened for a reason, and destiny has plans for you, which are better than what you have for yourself. So believe in the destiny and let things take their natural course. Take it slow.
Well, it is beautiful. And I'm so glad that you decided to do law. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to speak with you. So I think that's all the time we have. Sir, this was one of the best interviews ever, and we are thrilled. And my students are high on steroids by listening to you.
Me too.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It was an honor, and it was absolutely a blast. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So say thank you to sir, and उन्होंने टाइम निकाला है अपने बिजी स्केड्यूल से तुम लोगों से बात करने के लिए, तुम लोगों को इतनी अच्छी अच्छी बातें समझाने के लिए. So sir, a lot of gratitude from all my students. Thank you so much again. Please take care, guys, and I shall see you again. Bye bye. Good night.
Thank you, Nivel. Thank you, Sarth.